darling, you look beautiful. Today you look beautiful. Normally I've got some pale, crappy picture.
I'd like to say the same about you, Steve, but I know where you've been just a minute ago.
Well, I had to download, yeah.
Of course you did. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sports Deck podcast. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. We have a guest with us tonight. I'm really pleased to say we have Matt here, who is from A Star Futsal. Now, Matt is an avid Liverpool supporter, but we're not going to be talking about that. It's going to be purely futsal tonight.
Oh, kick him
I'll
off
try
if
and
he's
stay on
something-
track. I'll try and stay on track.
So, Matt, so glad if you could join us.
Well, thanks for the invite.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're very
that's good that you
welcome.
come on.
Yeah. I was saying to Matt while Steve was downloading that we haven't had a futsal guest on before.
No.
Looking forward to
And
educating.
futsal's something I've refereed as well, so it's good that we've got someone that does referee and who does futsal. But
Yeah,
we'll hear a lot about what Matt's got to say. Don't forget, we've also got the Who Am I in the first hour. This time I'm going to stump you. And name of the year in the second hour. And
Okay.
I made it tricky this time.
So, Matt, are you joining us for the full hour or 2 hours?
You tell me, I can hang around.
Okay.
Good.
I'm quite intrigued by these kind of guess the names and things. I'm interested.
Well,
Yeah, I never
normally
get them
Tara has a
right.
guess and she's on the wrong sex usually, so I have to tell her to make
Yeah, I'm not very good at it, but I give it a go. Last podcast we had
No,
a
you
few
got it last time.
users who were hitting Google, and I just
Yeah,
thought,
this time I've made it impossible for them to use Google this time.
oh, okay.
So we're not having any cheaters, are we, Phil Gamage and or anyone else who's listening?
Right, so
Right.
Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about your sporting background?
Oh, what, playing, coaching, watching? Where do I start? So I play football and have done since I was a young boy.
How old are you?
46.
You can't ask that question, Steve.
You can,
Who
Steve.
said 46? Who said he was 56?
I did. Right,
Go
you're
on, back.
fired.
Don't worry, Tara.
You're
Tara
fired.
said she was 41 last week, and she was definitely 61. I know that.
I'm always 41. What do you mean?
Phil Gamage up the Coppolas. Well done, my son. That was a great result. You're not wrong.
It was a good
Go on,
result.
Matt. Sorry, so you're 46.
No,
Go on.
46. So I played football for many years, on and off, 11-side, 5-a-side, 6-side, various sides. Still playing vets football now. But my son came along 10 years ago. And as with all good parenting skills, I made sure he had a Liverpool baby grow on him by the time he was kind of 20 minutes old. So his good parenting skills, that, Steve. So both my children.
Have a look what's behind me.
Well, I was just telling Tara before we came on live. I've just actually ended a podcast with a Tottenham fan who invited me to talk about my experience as a Liverpool fan and as a match-going Liverpool fan. So I go home, away in Europe, watching Liverpool, and we spent a bit of time talking about what apparently is Lucas Moura Day today, which is looking
Is
back.
there a day?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the day that.
No, he scored a hat trick. He scored a hat trick in Ajax in Amsterdam, 2018, and it was. Well, I know Liverpool think their comeback against Barcelona.
We've
was
just
the
had
best
this
comeback.
argument. I've just had
Right?
this
But the
argument.
thing is, when you're at home, it's a hell of a difference needing the goals than when you're away and you're technically 3-0 down at half time. I think that was, and it was the last kick of the game as well. And that's the thing. That was the thing. I always watch that last 2 minutes. It's goosebumps.
Yeah,
It's still goosebumps today.
yeah. And you talked obviously about the Barcelona game, which was 24 hours previous to to that
Yeah.
night. I don't think we'll agree on that. I think your comeback was amazing, but we were playing Barcelona. I mean, the best.
Who went to sleep for the fourth goal, by the way, may I point out, and you were at home.
Well,
And remember this, which is very important, Matt. Yeah, we all know, hand on heart, if you're really honest, yeah, that final was ruined in the first minute because the dopey referee gave you a penalty, and it wasn't a penalty. The laws were changed. It hit his shoulder first, and then it is on. So it's not a penalty.
Steve,
It's true.
let's move on.
Afterwards, they apologised for getting it wrong. So you know, it goes. But then I've watched the Liverpool Spurs game last week, as usual. Liverpool with a VAR in the middle of it, and I'm telling you this as a referee, right? Joke decision. That is a red card every game in any level of football. Red card.
I will not disagree with you with that. I do think that. I think
It's also a penalty as well, but we'll go that then another day. But anyway, we want to know about you.
Right,
So
so
go on.
moving on. So
Yeah.
my son was born, and he enjoyed football, got into football, playing, watching, and quite early on, there's a lot of these kind of early starter kind of things for young kids getting involved in football, kickers, little kickers, all these type of things that go on. Great little kind of introduction for young boys and girls to get involved in football. And one of them that he got involved in was something called Soccer Tots, which is it's a franchise that's based around the UK. And it just gets kids involved in playing football, but using a futsal ball. A futsal ball.
Can I just tell you that Everton has just scored a fourth goal?
Oh, okay.
I'm looking over my shoulder. I've got mixed feelings about this because if Liverpool have got any chance, and I don't think we've got much of a chance, but if Liverpool have got any chance of sneaking top four, then obviously we need Everton to beat Brighton. But as a Liverpool fan, I would find it hugely amusing if Everton got relegated this year. So I've kind of got mixed feelings about what's just happening.
You and me both. You see, Everton win. I mean, they are dire, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So Everton win, which they will do. Brighton have 3 games in hand over us.
Yep.
Now it's going to be 2.
Yep.
They're still, I think, 3 points behind, 2 points behind. But their 2 games they got are Arsenal and Man City.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they've
They're
got
not easy.
Yeah, they've got 3 very tough games, I think, in their remaining
4. They've got Newcastle and they're away at Villa.
Yeah.
Right. So those 4 games, I think they get 2 points max. Right.
So so I'm kind of
So-
happy that's happening.
Yeah. So if they only get 2 points, that means they've caught us up. But our 3 games left, we've got Villa away on Sunday. That's the one we'll decide because Brentford at home, I'm sure we'll win it. Leeds away last game, they'll probably be relegated. Leeds,
Yep. Yeah.
especially if Forest beat Southampton later on, which I'm sad for Southampton, but Forest have always been my other team because I always loved Brian Clough. But going back to what you just said about your son Soccer Tots,
Yeah.
we got to stop 1 second because as Tara knows, every 5 minutes we're late because it's starting now. We have to start on Who Am I? So you have to keep a record of what's going on. So this week, Who Am I? First clue. Ready?
Go.
Tara, you better write this down because I know what it's going to be like. So I am a male. So it's a guy, right? And you'll notice I've got my wedding ring on today because refereeing season's finished for me. Right, I'm a male and I'm 55 years old. That's the first part of this clue. So very famous sportsman. So obviously it's not somebody that no one's heard of. He's obviously somebody that even if you don't watch that particular sport, you think I've heard of the name.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay.
Male,
So I'm 55 years old and I'm male.
Got it.
Doesn't really help so far. Right, Matt, fire away.
You got me thinking. What, you want my guess?
No, you won't guess it yet.
Right, so Max, my son, joined Soccer Tots, started playing futsal, and that was his introduction into it.
He started playing futsal.
Yeah, about 18 months old. So this is very early stages. As I said, this Soccer Tots offering is great. And as I said, franchise model, great opportunity for young boys and girls to get involved in football. But they do other types of learning activities as well. So it's not just about learning to play football and futsal. But that was his introduction into it, and it kind of grew from there. And as you go through the age groups, Soccer Tots becomes something called Brazilian Soccer School, and you start learning a lot of the fundamental skills that futsal players have. And he did that up until he was about 5 or 6, and then moved on. And he went and joined a couple of different futsal clubs. Futsal is not huge in the UK. And I'm sure by both of you kind of shaking your head, you're probably, I'm taking a bit of a pun. Futsal's probably not so familiar with you both.
No, I've refereed it.
Have you?
Yeah.
MK used to do, probably about 10, 15 years ago, they used to do a futsal tournament down by the football stadium. And they used to have like Chelsea there, Man U, Fulham.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was actually a really, really good thing to go and see with the kids.
Yeah. I did futsal. I've refereed Tottenham, Arsenal, Edmonton, because it's a separate side near Tottenham.
Yeah.
Coventry. I mean, there are lots of places that maybe aren't so familiar.
Yeah.
And they did it indoors at Bedfordshire at the university.
Yep, still do.
I did the disabled ones as well.
Right.
So these are the kids who've got these sort of implants on top of their head, and they're impaired with their hearing or partially sighted.
Yeah.
And even though they've got disabilities, I have to tell you, hand on heart, obviously it's not the same thing as refereeing men's football and some of the games we've done, but the entertainment and the enjoyment I got out of refereeing them, fantastic.
Yeah.
Kids, some of the kids, and the crowd, you know, even if there's the parents are there and the parents' families and stuff, you might have only 250 people there, but I have to tell you, it's great fun indoors. The echo from the hall, the kids are fantastic. The way they come up to you afterwards and have a hug, it's really nice, you know. Loved it. So I do know a bit about futsal.
So you do
it's
know
just
a bit
that at the moment I've stopped doing it because I felt it was important for me as an individual to be at refereeing on trying to educate the youth, to be honest with you.
No, that's great.
But
so futsal, so Max was involved with futsal on and off, and about a year or so ago, the club he was at decided they weren't going to run their futsal program anymore.
Where's that? What area?
Around Milton Keynes. So
it's a dodgy area, Milton Keynes.
Oi, be careful.
Did they fold because a lack of players coming in or funding or?
No, to be fair, futsal is, as I said, it's still quite not particularly well known. So there's very few people that know enough about futsal to coach it. The gentleman that was doing it, it was additional to running a grassroots football team, and he also had his own business and his family, and it just became too much. So he ended up walking away, and I fully understand that. But my lad loved it and wanted to carry on playing, and we just couldn't find something available. So my lad's a fairly good football player. He plays for a few various bits of clubs and gets extra coaching. And I went to one of these extra coaches and I said, look, why don't you offer futsal? And they're like, oh, we haven't got the coaches, we haven't got enough time. And I just kept going on and on. And he was like, oh, you've got to do it. It's important. It teaches the kids great fundamental skills that are transferable into football. And after harassing him probably for 3 to 6 months, he told me to shut up and get on with it. And basically said, look, take the A-Star brand. So A-Star Academy of Football is a coaching company in Milton Keynes that offers extra coaching to kids of all ages. And the two owners and founders of A-Star, Ryan and Martin, just said, look, take our brand that is very well known and very well respected around Milton Keynes, and I'll let you prove to us that futsal can exist. And that was about 8 or 9 months ago. And it's gone from this idea and a pilot where we had about 10 under 10s playing, where we now get about 60 to 65 kids on a Thursday night at Radcliffe School in Wolverton, playing futsal, boys and girls. We have entered various tournaments, we play matches, and it's something that is growing hugely. There are teams that exist in Milton Keynes and the surrounding areas. So MK Mavericks is an existing team in Milton Keynes. Bedford, existing team, still play out of the University of Bedfordshire, as Steve mentioned. But neither of them at the time had a particularly buoyant youth setup. And hence, from a very selfish perspective, I wanted to create something for my son, and it started off as that. And here we are, as I said, 8 or 9 months later, 60, 65 kids on a Thursday night.
What's the age group for these kids, Matt? What's the youngest, and and what about the oldest?
So we go from under 9s to under 15s at the moment.
Right, okay.
We are from September opening up at the top end up to under 16, but at the bottom end looking to do something from about under 7s onwards.
Yeah.
We've also decided to satisfy my futsal needs, and we have an adult team that has started to come together over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So on a Friday evening, a different school, there's a group of about 16 or 17 men and women that come together to
So you pay for that to rent where you go, yeah, I take it?
Yeah. So I organise that as part of the A-Star kind of offering. I hire it, and we charge people to come and play with us. It's at the moment it's quite informal, but it's very much with the intention of hopefully putting an adult team together. And what we want to get to is to make sure that we have a continuous pathway from those younger ages, under 6, under 7s, all the way through the teenage years into adult, and hopefully become an established futsal club in the Milton Keynes area.
And that's
the
great.
adult team that you've got, you said you've got men and women. With the younger age groups, is that mixed as well?
So it's really dictated to by who turns up. So our training quite often from under 9s up to under 15s is mixed. We probably have somewhere in the region of about 12 girls out of the 60 odd that come along. They're a very talented group of girls. A lot of them are attached to MK Dons and their youth academy, but they play futsal for A-Star. So they're mixed at the moment, but as a team, we have a girls under 14 girls that is made up of 14 and 13-year-old girls, and they play as a team just as girls. So we train as a mixture, but we play very much as men, or male, female, boys, girls.
So MK doesn't have a futsal league, does it?
No, not at the moment. It's, as you said, I have, after speaking to many people, have a knowledge of there being local futsal leagues. I think COVID definitely killed a lot of the momentum that was building around futsal, not just in this area, but nationally. And without getting into some of the politics around funding out of the FA and the lack of investment generally in facilities, it's been a tough one to kind of keep building. But there isn't a local league in Milton Keynes. There are certain cities around the UK that have got very buoyant adult leagues and youth leagues. Areas
so where do your teams play? Do they play in a league, or is it just sort of for fun?
So the kids teams that we have, we will enter tournaments or play ad hoc friendlies. So for example, yesterday my under 10 boys team, we travelled and played Cambridge Futsal Club up in Cambridge. My under 14 girls went to St Albans and played Bloomsbury, and
Well,
those,
that's a big club,
I
Bloomsbury.
was going to say, for those of you that are familiar with Bloomsbury, Bloomsbury is a large futsal and football offering in kind of North London and the surrounding areas of Hertfordshire. They are a very well run, very well established futsal club. Their men have just secured the championship in Tier 1 of the men's league. The women, in the very last game, picked Birmingham and Wolverhampton to Tier 1 Women's League. And we're just going into the playoff season now. So very similar to kind of, I think, a lot of the American sports, where if you finish in the top 4, you go into kind of semi-final playoffs and then a final to actually win the overall tournament. But they're a very well run, very well established futsal organisation. And yeah, our under-14 girls travelled to St Albans and played them yesterday. So had a very busy day of futsal yesterday.
It's
I'm just going
funny.
to give you a moment, just 1 second.
Go
So
on.
for those of you watching, we've only had one clue on Who Am I. Got to put a clue in now because otherwise we'll run out of time on this one. So I captained my country that I was born in, which was India, but I didn't captain the country I was born in. I captained my country. I was born in India, but I didn't captain my country that I was born
Oh,
in.
I see what you said. Okay. It's the way you said it the first
I know
time.
who it is.
Go on, Matt.
Well, I don't know who it is, but I am going to. Is it?
Well, you better wait to the next clue before you get completely put in a pickle.
I'm kind of working out ages, and when he captained, is it Nasser Hussain?
Is it? So if I ask the next clue, would you want to retract that?
Oh.
Oh, I might do.
Right.
I'm doing the maths of when he captained England.
So it's not Nasser Hussain.
I didn't say that. I just said when you get the next clue, you might find it not so easy. You might change your mind. I don't know.
I might do.
Okay. All right. No, I haven't got a foggiest.
Well, no. It could be your son I was doing. If you go, who is it?
He wasn't born in India.
No, I didn't say. Well, no, this chap was, but I didn't say your son was born in India.
I thought you said he could have been my son, and he's not 55.
No, I'm just saying we could have done Who Am I, and it could have been your son, and you still wouldn't have guessed it.
Oh.
Anyway, Matt,
Clues.
don't worry about Tara. She's got her own little world going on. Wait till she starts doing the quacks for the stuff.
So I have to say I am a big futsal fan. I am so glad when BT Sports started showing it about 2 seasons ago on TV. And I think that's really helped. Put futsal out there a bit more. It definitely needs that public
Exposure,
absolutely, and a big platform like BT Sport putting it out there. It's so good to see. So they cover the men's and the women's. I mean, I'm a London Helvetia fan. Okay, they've not had the best season this
You're a
season.
who? What? You're a what?
I'm a Helvetia fan.
So
London Helvetia.
So Tara, tell me
I wonder
about
what that was you said there to start with. I'll be honest with you.
I'm intrigued. Where's your knowledge and exposure to futsal from?
I think when we went and watched it, when it used to be here, and they used to have the tournaments going on, and we used to go with my eldest son at the time, and it was just so good. It was so fast paced. The technicality, the things they do with the ball is just unbelievable sometimes. And my husband's Italian, and actually futsal's quite big in Italian, as in like beach football and all that kind of 5-a-side, 6-a-side type football. So it's not unfamiliar to me.
Okay.
And when they started showing it on BT, it was like, oh, about time, because they obviously stopped bringing it to MK. And it was just great to watch them again.
Yeah, I think you're right with BT Sport. They show it periodically. It's not every week.
This
You
season's been really bad. They haven't been
Yeah.
showing it a lot this season.
Yeah, you can. That's some interference. Oh, it's gone now. It's
I
all
don't know
right.
what that was.
No, but we're back again. So yeah, BT Sport it's a bit of a struggle because it's periodic. So I think they've probably covered 4 match day weekends, if I remember rightly. It is streamed on YouTube, if you can view it there. I think the other thing that's been quite good for exposure for futsal, is there's a lot of YouTubers, and kind of I'm of a certain age that uses that term quite uncomfortably, but my children are very much into kind of YouTubers, and there's a lot of YouTubers that are futsal players that love doing those futsal skills, and I think it's almost a kind of a reverse way of engineering how to kind of bring it to kids. I think they look at these kind of YouTubers. One of them, I think, it's called LDN Movements, and the guy there is a guy called Jamie Shorey, who is an ex-England international futsal player. So there's lots of things that are happening kind of around futsal that's growing the profile of it, but it's definitely short of investment, short of facilities, short of coaches, short of referees. But there's lots of good people doing good things to try and keep it going and grow the exposure of it.
I mean, one thing I never understood is like in the South Americas and even in Europe, you've got the kids out on the streets and they're playing their five-a-side football, and that's where they learn to play football, is street football.
Yeah,
And futsal is not that dissimilar to street football.
it is ultimately that. You're right.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's crazy how it's taken off in all these other parts of the world, but we're
5-1.
really slow. Go on. What
I
was
think
that?
Everton has scored a fifth of their goals this season in one game.
I think I have.
They scored again. Oh lordy.
Yeah. Well, just whilst we're on a bit of a good news here, I'll just sort of update you here. While they're winning 5-1, I've managed to get the place put up this evening at Windsor. He's paid 595 quid, so I'm quite happy about that.
Paid
The
for
last
what?
race,
Oh,
place
the
pot
horse.
paid £595. It's about time I've had a touch. Sorry about that. Just so you know, we're live. It is 5-1 to Everton. Question part of my number 3 here.
Go on.
I was a spin bowler in my youth.
I think I'm right.
Go on. Say it then, Matt.
I think it's Nasser Hussain. I
You
vaguely
still think it's Nasser Hussain, yeah?
I vaguely remember him being a leg spinner growing up as a child in Chelmsford. I
Very
think.
Is
good.
he right, Steve?
Yeah.
Am I? I'm not going to
Yeah.
be invited on again, am I? I love my cricket. I have to admit, I love my cricket.
And it's Scott's law. I've got to have someone who likes cricket like I do. Usually I'd have some like Wally who doesn't know anything about sport other than swimming or darts. Yeah. I don't know what made me pick a cricketer this week. I've got to be honest with you. All joking aside, Matt, and Tara knows we had a woman last week. Not a woman. We had a very famous athlete on the last show.
Yep.
A female, and then the first show was a male. So next show in a fortnight's time will be another famous female. And I'm sure that if you tune in next fortnight, you can send a message. Go, I know who that one is. Oh, you won't. You won't. It won't be a cricketer.
I might have to join in.
Bill didn't get that one. He's a cricket fan.
Yeah, he likes his cricket. He's probably a bit Brahms and Liszt because
After the conference
Northampton won it.
celebration.
Yeah, Northampton won up at Tranmere today. Scott Humphreys went up there to watch the game, and they won 1-0. And yes, we know that, Phil. We know you know about cricket. And Northampton won 1-0, so they got promoted. And funnily enough, they've swapped places with the MK Dons.
I
and
know,
last year was the other way
right?
around. So I don't know
How
what's going to happen
fancy
next
is
season.
that, right? God,
Well,
terrible
I, don't-
season the Dons have had. Terrible.
I think it's a lot of it's problematical is to do with you, Tara, with the basketball. What you've done is you've erred on the side of the basketball, and you've taken care of blooming Newport Pagnell, and you've left the MK Dons to rot. But then, having said that, that's Pete Winkleman's fault for not coming on the show. So there you go, Pete Winkleman. If you ever listen to this, this is the reason you're screwed. You didn't invite us
Just to put
to
it out there,
MK
the
Dons.
teams I commentate for do very, very well. That's all I'm going to say. Don't need to
Yeah.
say more.
Come and commentate on my kids' futsal.
I would love to. The only thing is, the rules, I'm really not 100% certain on some of the rules because they are different to football, obviously.
There are some.
And that's where I'd probably fall
Yeah.
flat on my face.
It's quite easy once you get into it, and refereeing it's quite easy once you get into it. The first thing you do as a ref is you say you can kick the ball as much as you like and kick the hell out of each other as much as you like. And if you say that, then I'll just do the exact opposite.
You can't say that to the kiddie winkies.
Oh God, you've not had me referee, have you? I don't say that really. I think the FA had kicked me off the panel.
Yeah.
So Phil's just mentioned that the Cobblers 11 are playing Newport Pagnell Town in a friendly at Woolham Road tomorrow.
Are you commentating on that?
I am.
There you go.
Yeah, it'll be
Your
like the 18 or the
735th
21.
commentary of the season.
Eh?
Your 735th commentary of the season.
Oh, it's been
Well,
busy.
just so as you know, Matt, so you got an idea how this works. When it's really rubbish weather, Tara says to me, "What am I doing next weekend?" And I get a coin out on the Monday, and I go, right, heads you're here, tails you're there, and she chooses, and if she gets it wrong, she's often in the cold because she, for some reason, always picks it wrong. But the last one, when it was absolutely perishing and it was going to be about -5,
It was
she didn't really want to go and do the game of football, and it was she called correctly and ended up at the basketball. And the first thing she said was, "Yes, it's warm."
I always joke. It's amazing how many parents come and watch the kids play futsal when they realise it's inside.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
if you've got a toilet, it works.
Yeah.
Rather than some of the football grounds.
Exactly. So
So your futsal, do you referee as well then?
I don't. I mean, I do know the rules, and my coaching qualifications at futsal mean that I do have to know the rules, but I am not a referee qualified. But there is some upcoming referees courses that the FA at Northamptonshire are running.
Yeah.
But sadly, I can't make it. But I am on the. It is on my radar that I want to pick that up.
I've got to tell you, so to give you a background, obviously you said you're 46, so this is what you look like when you're nearly 61.
We've got the same hairstyle anyway, Steve.
No, mine's completely gone. To be fair, I had a shave yesterday morning before I took my daughter to her rowing because she's rowing for. She rowed in the English Junior Championships yesterday at Bedford.
Cool.
Got to the final, but lost to obviously the favourites. Headington are a different level. Any Oxford boat's always going to be a difficult one to beat. And so I had to have a shave. Otherwise, I looked about 75 prior to that. I didn't take up refereeing properly till I was about your age.
Okay.
What,
So to give you.
football?
No, this is just general refereeing. I mean, I'd refereed a few games when they were short of a referee, and I did it to the best of my ability. So knowing the laws of the game was good, but my positioning was rubbish.
Yeah.
But when you're 6'4.5" and you tell somebody to do something and they don't do it, they tend not to sort of back chat. You just think, you know what, I better do this because I don't want to caution unless I have to.
Yeah.
With experience, you learn to manage games. Obviously, futsal's totally different because it's quite fast.
Yeah.
It's a short game. and it is quite good fun. And obviously, there are two referees. Well, when
Yeah.
I was doing it, we had two referees doing it, so you each got one side,
Yep.
which is quite good fun. Normally, if you do it with a friend of yours who's the opposite ref, it makes life a bit easier.
Yeah.
Or a colleague that you do it regularly, because you have you get the sort of the brain works in conjunction with the other guys.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is what he's already seeing, and rather than one of you make a decision, the other one goes, "Oh, I never saw that." You're kind of on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Which
So what are the main differences in some of the rules? The big differences. Obviously,
was a
there's no
small pitch
offside.
for starters.
Well,
It's indoors. It's a smaller pitch.
That's not the rules.
Well, part of the laws of the game is that a football pitch, and a real football pitch, has to be no wider than 100 meters wide and no longer than 150. But most people don't know that. That's the laws of the real laws of the game. That is the full size of a football pitch. But nobody would have a space for a football pitch that big, yeah. So
Yeah.
they've made it different. The Premier League, I think you've got to have a minimum of 105 meters by 75. So to give you an idea. But imagine if you had a football pitch 150 by 100. I mean, the referee have a heart attack every time he crossed the halfway line.
yeah.
So the futsal pitch is a lot smaller. I think it's 60 by 20.
I think it's a little bit wider, but I think it's similar to football in the fact that you get the minimum and maximum sizes it can be. So it can be in the parameters of X and Y and.
Yeah, I think it's 60. Maybe it's 60 by 30. I think 60 by 30. I think it is.
But there's particular
And there's a sort of D, a bit like a hockey one for the penalty area.
Yeah. So I mean, you're right with the court sizes and kind of the shape. I think one of the challenges that you have in the UK and getting professional teams playing is a lack of what they call international size futsal courts. We've got lots of courts that make up a minimal size, but if you're playing futsal of a certain level, tier 1 in England or international, it needs to meet the international standards, and we just don't.
I think that's 80 by 40. I think.
And I think we've probably only got about.
I'm going to check that now.
5 or 6 around the country. I guess
I'm going to check that.
The rules, other things to think about. The goals are very different shapes and sizes to football. So they're 3 meters by 2 meters. So they're more familiar with, say, hockey size. They're actually handball size. The football is smaller. So you play a size down. So professional teams play with a size 5. Futsal, you play size 4.
Size 4.
Yeah, the ball is heavier. Now, people think it's weighted. It's not weighted. It's actually double bladdered, which gives it that kind of more feeling of kind of being more dense. So there's reduced bounce. In the ball. You have 4 seconds to play the ball from a dead ball situation. So that's a significant difference. The one that I really like, and the one that I would love to get involved in at football, is that you play to a stop clock, so you only have live time.
When the ball goes out of play, the clock stops. Just to confirm this for you, because I just checked because I wasn't sure. So the minimum futsal pitch is 25 by 16 meters, maximum 42 by 25.
Yeah.
So it's not big.
No.
And obviously, with that size court, if you're with kids, it's not such a problem. But you've got adults who are 6 foot tall playing on a court that size. It's very, very small.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of imagine, I mean, it's a long time ago, but we used to have the national 5-a-sides at Wembley.
Yeah.
And they had the surrounds around the pitch, which obviously made it much smaller.
Yeah.
But obviously you could play 1-2s off the wall.
Yeah.
They can't do that in futsal. In futsal, you do that, the ball goes over the line, and as a referee, you've got to stop the clock. And you actually say to the timekeeper, stop. And normally the timekeeper will be stopping it anyway. And then you raise the hand to say restart, so that he knows to restart the clock. And it counts down. And of course, the fans watching it, like they do with the basketball that you do, Tara, You know, when it gets to 10 seconds,
They do the countdown.
they all do, it's automatic. It's amazing how people just do it. 10 automatically, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do it in futsal.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that you get a goal in the last second in futsal.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's
you can
interesting.
do.
It's interesting you say that. I don't know if you're aware, but it's the last 4 days have been the semi-final and final of the Champions League of futsal. So
No,
last
we weren't aware. Well, I wasn't.
so last night Mallorca beat Sporting Lisbon on penalties, which was a really good game. But you're talking about that last second goal. There was a game. It was which game was it? I'm trying to remember. It was the other semi-final, which was Sporting Lisbon. Who did Sporting Lisbon play? I've gone blank. Can't remember who it was. But they thought they had equalised in the last second, but they had to go to VAR, and it was 0.3 seconds after the final whistle, and they thought they'd scored their equaliser. So you can find it on YouTube, the clip. It's amazing. But you're talking about the referees earlier, Stephen, having one either side. But it's quite interesting when VAR is used in futsal, and it isn't used widely. It is in the Champions League final.
I didn't even know it was used in futsal, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's in the Champions League.
Yeah, but you've got two referees. I mean, it's tough enough making a decision using video evidence. Never mind when you're debating with a colleague, and you could see them debating about this. There was in the final last night. There was a foul against one of the Sporting Lisbon players just before they scored, and it resulted in the goal being disallowed. But there was a long period of time with the referees debating with each other their opinion of whether it was a foul or not.
Well, you see, I think at futsal level, it's probably because it's not like a money sport, obviously. I don't think that the two referees are trying to get the best outcome. When you're on your own on a football pitch at the Premier League level, and Tara knows that I'm friends with someone who was head of PGMOL. I'm friends with one or two of the Premier League referees in the past. I would not say friends, but acquaintances would be a better word. Although I am having dinner with one in a couple of weeks. Their attitude when they're refereeing the game is to try and referee the game to the best of their ability. And I think that every referee in every level of every sport tries to do the best he can or she can in the game that they're doing. The issue that you've got with a game where a professional level, you've got fans and supporters, and in the money sports, your decision can decide or determine the outcome of a game where even though you're trying to use the laws of the game, whichever sport you're in, occasionally you could be in a situation that by adopting the laws of the game and sticking to the laws of the game, you're penalising a team which in your heart of hearts you feel wrong about. But ultimately, in the Premier League, for example, you could cost the team promotion or, well, not promote, but relegation from the Premier League. And that's £100 million down the drain in the space of one decision.
Yeah.
Now, you'd obviously argue, well, hold on, if you're in the bottom three, you're there because you were rubbish all season. Let's be fair. But the last day of the season, it may happen this year. It may well happen this year. We go into the last game of the season this year with three teams trying to stay up. Two of them are going to go down. And in the games that they're in, and I've just literally had a look online while I'm talking to you. So the last games of the season, so Leeds are playing Spurs, I know that. Leicester are at home to West Ham. Southampton are at home to Liverpool. So they haven't got an earthly Southampton, right? They're down. But having seen the results today, Everton are playing Bournemouth, who will probably be on holiday. And Nottingham Forest are at Crystal Palace, who will also be on holiday. But that's Roy Hodgson's last game, I would imagine, ever. So, you know, it's a tough one. That's why I'm hoping Forest win tonight against Southampton, because obviously If they do, they're above the line. My gut instinct with the fixtures left is that Leeds will fall down. I think it'd be Sam Allardyce's first failure. But to be fair to him, taking the team over with 4 games left in the season, and one of them was at Man City, was always asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So, again, you could have a decision in one of these games where the referee doesn't give a penalty.
Yeah.
And VAR, this is the issue we've got with VAR. It's something that it annoys me because I look at this, and I've said this frequently to Keith. I've also, because I know that he's got a meeting with Howard Webb in the summer. We both feel, from opposite ends of the scale, from him, from his experience and retired, me still refereeing, but at the level I'm at, which now is level 5, if you don't bring on neutral VARs who have got nothing, so I'm not saying they're not neutral, but I'm talking about neutral VAR people who have got nothing to do with, oh, my mate's refereeing that game, or my mate's doing that game. I don't want to drop him in it. Because they're all on a course together, the referees, aren't they? Yeah? They're on the fitness course, they're on the training courses, they're on the other courses. They all go together, they get associated with each other. Some of them live very close to each other.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, none of them ever live in London. Have you noticed that? None of the referees. It's a bizarre thing.
I saw a map probably about 3 months ago that showed the location of where the referees live, and I mean, it's, as a Liverpool fan, I find it funny but worrying in equal measure, but not seriously. How many of the referees are within kind of like a 50-mile radius of Manchester? There's a huge amount. I mean, we had, who's the referee we had on Saturday? I've forgotten his name, but from
your game.
Yeah. From Altrincham.
Anthony Tails.
Yeah, Anthony Taylor.
Tails lives in Altrincham.
Yeah, there's from Manchester, Altrincham, Stockport. But you're right.
There are quite a few.
Yeah.
But Tails, I know for a fact he doesn't support any of your sides.
No, I know. I genuinely believe that there's no conscious bias in those decision making.
Well, if you think that's bad, there's a referee. He still lives in St Helens. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's retired from Premier League refereeing. Chris Foy.
Yeah.
How many times did he referee Liverpool or Everton?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, if you think that, for me, I'm not, just using it as honesty, but the referees who live near Newcastle are in Newcastle.
Yeah.
They can't referee Newcastle, and I know one who has refereed Newcastle.
Yeah.
So they don't go to a game thinking, "Oh, this is my local team." I have never gone to a game of football thinking to myself when I'm refereeing it, "Oh, this is I like this club. They look after me. This one doesn't look after me much. I'm going to make sure I give them a hard time." I'm never like that.
Yeah.
You just go and do the game you got, and if I ever felt that I was going to help a team, I would stop refereeing.
Yeah. The reality of the issue, Steve, there's just not enough referees because, and I don't blame
them.
There
are at the top level.
Is there really enough?
The key issue is, I'll tell you what it is. This is something that we've been discussing that I've done with Keith a lot recently. The lower end of the scale where you start, you get absolutely no help whatsoever from anybody. None. The further up you go, the more help you get.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that if I was 25 years younger, and instead of being nearly 61, I'm nearly 36. And I've taken up refereeing at 22 when I originally got injured the first time.
Yeah.
I know from what the Football League refs who've watched me referee have said, is that they all said I would have made it. I haven't had one that ever said, no, you wouldn't have made it. These are people I don't know. They don't owe me anything. They've seen me referee even recently and said, you know what, you really are very good at your level, way higher than that in the way you referee. So if my legs were able to keep up with me, which obviously they struggle at 61 nearly, but at 35, 36, I wouldn't have been doing the things that I did in those days, because to be a referee, you've got to be totally committed to it. You know, you've got to give the right lifestyle, the right food, the way you live your life. Your lack of, I hate to say it, but you don't have much of a personality away from football, because it is, you live and breathe that facility. Yeah, you can't be out on the town having a booze up, because as soon as you do, someone's got a camera out. Yeah. Oh, look at the state of this referee. He's refereeing in 3 days. He's blottoed by this somewhere in a club. You just can't do it. The FA would just say, mate, you're sacked.
Yeah.
And all that effort you put into it, it's gone like that. And why would you do that? You've got to decide, if you're going to go down that route and you get to the land of the honey, where the money is, if you get to Premier League football referee like one or two of them have done in their 20s. Michael Oliver was only 26 when he became a Premier League referee. Michael's been in the Prem for about 12, 13 years now. He's a very good referee. There people are going to say, no, he's made a decision wrong here, and he got this wrong, and he doesn't like this. Let me tell you something. I'm telling you as a referee, he is a fantastic referee. But I could schmooze Michael Oliver if I was a player, and I would turn around and say, oh, weren't you fantastic in the recent World Cup? You were fantastic. Because he comes onto the pitch thinking, well, they think I'm brilliant, and you tend to be more lenient with the ones that say something nice about you. And if you're playing at professional level, and you know there's very little between Liverpool and Man United and Man City and Arsenal and Chelsea and Tottenham, there isn't much between them. It's just a kick here or a kick there, or a mistake here or a mistake there. If the referee's siding with you on a tackle or a challenge, that can determine the game. So you tell him how wonderful he is, and he's a little bit more lenient with you. And that's how you get things. And people don't realise it. That's what goes on in real football. And I'm promising you this. You know, Michael lost his head a bit after the World Cup. He didn't referee particularly brilliantly straight afterwards, because he's got to a pinnacle. Psychologically, he knows for 6, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, I'm going to be at the World Cup. I'm one of the best referees in the world. Yeah? If you know, because you're told you're one of the best in the world, you get 2 or 3 games, you do them really well, which he did. To come back from that, it must be a massive low. Has to be. Psych yourself up for not being rude. Fulham against Wolves is, you know, not on TV. Is not the same thing as doing Mexico against Argentina. You know, you get what I'm saying.
What Matt was saying about a lack of referees, he is right, and that's not just in
that's
football.
Every referee.
I mean, it's the same in basketball. There's not enough officials in the lower levels, in the lower league.
But the money's not in it to pay them. So you do refereeing out of the love of refereeing.
Well,
I referee for 3 reasons. 1, I stay in football. 2, I help keep myself fit. And 3, I need that. I need to be on a football pitch because I spend my life teaching people to drive. So I'm stuck sitting on my Harris morning and afternoon, not in the night time. So going on a football pitch is my release, if you like. It's not, I haven't got my daughter there, I haven't got my wife there, I haven't got my friends there. It's just me. It's my space for me. It's an opportunity for me to let out my frustration from the week by running, or wandering or wobbling or whatever you want to call it. But it's a release, and I look forward to it because it allows me that release. I don't get paid very well for doing it. I get about 40 quid a game, which is rubbish. I mean, I earn that per hour. So if you think about it, how many hours am I giving up to referee a game of football? It's not the hour and a half I'm refereeing, because I'm there an hour beforehand. There's warm-up time, there's the match time, there's a half time, there's the second half, there's the end of the game. You know, that's 4 hours. I've got sometimes to drive 50 minutes to get to a game and back. So I'm gone for 6 hours. Please don't tell me 40 quid's worth it, because it isn't. And I'm refereeing at a level. Imagine if you're a kid now who's 17 and you're getting paid £20 for doing a game. And you can't drive. So your father's got to take you. And dad's thinking, Jesus, my son's going out here. I switch the car on. I get there. I wait around for an hour and a half. he gets paid 20 quid, and I've spent 15 of it on my car.
Yeah.
And there isn't the money in it at grassroots. And again, another issue that I've brought up with Keith, who is sort of listens to what I say very intently. The only way forward to encourage referees, you've got to start at the bottom and not be at the top. The kids that have run lines for me 10 years ago, a couple of them are refereeing in the Football League. One's in the Championship weekly. Even though I didn't rate him one bit, he's in the Championship. The game he did the other day, I think it was Middlesbrough's 4. Was it 4-4? They drew the other day 4-4. I think it was 4-4. Was it 4-4? They had a game. He did that.
Oh, no.
It was an unbelievable game. He handled it absolutely brilliantly, and I don't give compliments out that often.
Yeah.
My other mate who ran the line for me 10 years ago when I did an FA Cup game, he referees League One and League Two, and he's 25 now. Yeah, I know he's been injured, so maybe he'll be in the Championship next season. But these guys are from the same level as me. At the bottom they started, and you need to encourage them to get them to go forwards, so that we get 25, 26, 27, 28-year-olds refereeing in the Prem, not 53, 54, 55 at the end of the scale who are struggling a bit to do games. You look at Mike Dean, who retired last year. Mike was one of the fittest 52-year-olds you've ever seen. John Moss, if you can remember him, looked like the penguin in football pitch. I'm having dinner with Mossy in a couple of weeks. He was never, ever particularly quick on a football pitch. I wouldn't call him a particularly good referee, and I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say to him. Yeah. It's just that for some reason, well, I know why, but for some reason, he's head of the blooming keep fit part of the referees in the Premier, PGMOL world have got him as head of the fitness. Wasn't fit enough himself. So how can you have a bloke who wasn't fit enough himself? Well, Mike Riley chose him, and he's an idiot. So, thankfully, Howard will sort this out eventually, but, jobs for the boys. That's what happens at the top level. It's always jobs for the boys. If you look after grassroots, and in futsal, the same. I don't know what you pay. How much does a referee get for doing a futsal game?
Well, do you know what? At the moment, the level that we're at, we're getting parents volunteering. But you pay similar prices to grassroots.
Right. I did Bedfordshire. And they used to make me do 3 games. Yeah. Right, with my friend Paul. Yeah. Paul and I did 3 games, and we had another guy come along. It was always somebody different. Not Darren England. The other England did it with us. Darren's obviously a football Prem referee. That's his brother that did it with us. Kevin England. And we would turn up to do this as a sort of trio, or sometimes there was somebody else. Yeah. And we had an agreement that we would, if we had 3 games, I would referee with Paul one game, I'd referee with the other guy one game, and the other guy would referee with Paul one game, and whichever game we weren't refereeing, we were the timekeeper. Right. And the Beds FA paid us 50 quid for a Sunday afternoon.
For all 3 games?
And the games, pardon?
For all 3 games?
Yeah, that was it. We each got 50 quid. Right? The Beds FA paid it, but Tottenham were turning up with their team. Other players were coming from other clubs. So, they must be contributing, I imagine, to what the university was asking for. But the Beds FA paid for it because maybe, and again, I suppose the football associations in each county, they're getting a certain sum of money from the sponsorship that the FA gets. Now, I know that the FA's budget this year is £23 million. That's a lot of money. Howard does not earn £23 million. However, at the moment, they've got 6 numpties doing 2 people's jobs. So that's 4 salaries that maybe equate to £300,000 a year, plus expenses, say 400 grand a year. Now, £400,000 in the grand scheme of things is peanuts. But if you're a football, like futsal, for example, and there are 10 futsals in Bedfordshire and 10 futsals in Buckinghamshire, That's 20, and you go, right, we're going to sponsor you. We're going to give you £5,000 each. And I say to you, you got £5,000, Matt. That £5,000 isn't a lot of money. But what it does do, it helps with the advertising, and it pays to have a referee. And you can have a referee, proper referee coming down. You say, well, I can afford to pay you, mate. And you put on one fixture a month where you have 3 matches on that day, and you say to the referee, I'm paying you 60 quid. That's £20 a game, but his mate's there as well and what have you. But the FA's money has paid for it, and you've got a bit of residue left if you run your books properly. But that's a small sum to start with, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you can do something like that, I think. But
Does futsal have that kind of money to give each team X amount?
not team, it's where the clubs run. You've got to look at how many clubs there are. How many clubs are in Buckinghamshire?
Club, okay. But then if Matt's club has, how many teams have you got in your club altogether, Matt?
We're at a youth level, so we're just not even kind of at that level. But I think if you look at it, your point is interesting, because if you look at Tier 1, which is the Premier League of futsal in England, so you have 8 teams. That they currently deliver matches via central venues. So everyone goes to one location to play those 4 matches against your 4 opposition. And then you have your mixture of referees, whatever there is on a day, 4 referees, and they'll take their turns for, as Steve says, you'll do a match where you have 2 referees, you'll have a ref as a third ref, and you'll have a timekeeper, and you rotate as a group. But futsal doesn't have the money, and that impacts teams, players, and referees, the officials. You're opening up the futsal kind of can of worms a little bit, because the big debate this season, or has been ongoing debate around whether we should be using central venues, because the problem with central venues is that you don't have the opportunity to go and see your local team regularly. So do you have a fan base? Do you ever build a fan base? So both of you have mentioned going to futsal matches and seeing 200 fans there. I've been to futsal matches watching MK Mavericks playing at Cranfield University, and I've been to see Bedford playing at University of Beds. A handful of people there, probably mostly.
Yeah, but I did say 200, and I did say it was a lot of parents and stuff.
Yeah.
And especially with the ones that I did, with the disabled ones as well, you've got, or kids with hearing issues or whatever physical issues, you've always got their parents and their guardians there. You've got the supporters and the family. So if you've got 3 matches and you've got a squad of 10, let's say, and you've got 6 teams, that's 60 people, and maybe 20 of those people come from 2 of the local teams.
Yep.
And if you've got 2 big teams coming, so obviously if you've got big clubs coming, you're going to get some supporters, and you are going to get, you're right, not many, but you've got a lot of family and friends, so they are cheering and they are making a noise, and they do create an atmosphere.
I totally agree. I think talking about futsal, I think there is a slight missed opportunity. I don't think we do enough to publicise it, and I do point fingers at MK Mavericks and Bedford themselves as clubs. I think they can do more. I love going to watch futsal. Both of them play in Tier 2, so the second level down of the futsal.
That's a really high level. I didn't realise they play that high.
Yeah. So Tier 2 is regionalised.
Yeah, that's what I was refereeing, Tier 2.
But about 4 weeks ago, the Brazil national team came to England for their training camp before 2 matches against Spain, and then they went to Spain and played Spain in 2 matches. But there was a representative team from England that played the Brazil national team over at High Wycombe Sports Centre. It was brilliant. There was probably about 700 fans there. And it was brilliant to watch some of the best futsal players in the world playing in the UK was just amazing. And if you'd watched the Champions League over the last couple of days, you would have seen probably 4 or 5 of the Brazilians playing for Sporting Lisbon, Anderlecht, Parma, Benfica.
Benfica, you remember the other one now, yeah?
Yeah, I was trying to remember.
So
And
is it the National Futsal's governing body that is the issue with regards to promoting the sport, or do you think it's individual clubs?
I think there's joint responsibility. So as I said, COVID really not killed it. That sounds permanent.
Yeah.
COVID damaged futsal. And at that time, the FA removed funding and budget to futsal in the UK. It's only really been since probably December last year that the FA have created a new governing body called England Futsal with a 5-year plan to establish it and grow it. There's lots going on. There's lots I don't know about that I'm sure is going on behind the scenes. Futsal potentially could be in a very good place in the coming months and years. The England under-19 was the England under-19 boys team was restarted about 3 months ago, and they went through various qualification stages for the European finals. They missed out in the end. Italy beat them in the final group game, and they missed it. But they did really well. Really good, talented group of under-19s we've got. And then we'll start looking at the girls under-19s, then the full men's and full women's team representing England. So, look, I'm as much as I've been around football and aware of futsal for a few years, I'm still a novice in terms of some of the kind of the politics and the stuff that goes on at the very top of the futsal kind of organisation.
Sadly, there's politics and all of it, Matt. That's one of the biggest problems.
And there is, but there's lots of good people across lots of good futsal clubs that are doing lots of good things. You mentioned Helvetia, you mentioned Bloomsbury, an amazing club in terms of what they're doing, bringing youth players through. They're a very talented group of players at Tier 1, men and women. There's other clubs around the world.
I expect that because of the type of university it is.
Well,
you know that.
And again, you're touching on something that I don't think a lot of people know. Futsal is predominantly a university sport. You go, and a lot of the universities are the ones that are delivering futsal teams. Whether it's University of Nottingham or University of Trent or University of Liverpool or University of Hertfordshire, all of them will and do have good futsal teams. But then you lose people, and generally we're losing futsal players to football. And you understand why. Irrelevant of what level you're playing at, it ultimately comes to money, as Steve points out.
It's always money.
Which is a shame, because I think that there's a lot of very good players that play futsal in England, but it's just not a big enough sport that has enough exposure and enough money to really kind of excite people and inspire people. But I do think things are changing. There's some good things happening, and I mean, taking it back to what I do, seeing 60 kids play on a Thursday night at Radcliffe School, spending more time on the ball than they would do playing football on a Saturday in a park. If you think about a futsal court, the small size of it, the frequency of touching the ball, you get more opportunity to influence a game in futsal than you do grassroots football. You develop more skillful players. The benefits of futsal are huge. And you started to ask a question, Tara, a few minutes ago about kind of South America and kind of the southern European countries where futsal is huge.
Massive, yeah.
If the two of the gentlemen that play futsal with me on a Friday night, one's Portuguese and one's Brazilian, and both of them will say the same thing. They played futsal up until they were about 12 or 13. They didn't play football on a football pitch until they were 12, 13, 14, 15. That is what happens in South America. It's what happens in Spain and Portugal. Italy, maybe a little bit less, but those southern European countries, because the fundamental skills you develop in futsal make for better, skillful, more creative football players.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and a lot of them are dual pathwayed. So there's only probably one or two in the UK that play futsal and football all the way through to the highest level. So I've gone blank on his name. Who's the Wolves centre back? Max Kilman. So
Yeah, Spurs are after him.
yeah. So Max Kilman played futsal when he dropped out of his first academy. I can't remember who the academy was that let him go. Was it Chelsea? Might have been Chelsea.
I don't know, but I can tell you if you hold on a minute.
I will let you do your research, Steve, while I carry on with my story. So, so Max Kilman was let go as a young boy from an academy, and went.
Yeah, he's born in Chelsea Futsal Academy, Fulham.
Yeah, and then he played for. I think he played non-league for Maidenhead, but also played futsal. Then represented England at futsal.
Yeah.
And then gradually was pulled back into the professional game and played for Wolves. But he's played futsal at the highest level for England. And you can see that in his game. You can see it in his game, and he's a very composed defender, very elegant defender. And you can see what futsal brings to him.
He's Ukrainian.
Is he?
Mm.
Didn't know that. But if you watch the South Americans that are in the Premier League, one of my favourite players that I love watching is Bruno at Newcastle. Very talented player. Played futsal until he was 12, 13 years old. You can see the way he plays. I know futsal, so I know what kind of I'm looking at and how he receives the ball.
Yeah, it's a different type of touch. I agree.
Yeah, so it's great to see kind of these players coming into the Premier League. And
a lot of the Mediterranean football teams, the big ones, the Barcelonas, Madrid, they all have a futsal, or the majority have a futsal team as well.
Yeah.
And an academy.
Yeah. So if you look at Barcelona, so Barcelona actually is more than just a football club. They're a sports organisation because they also have a basketball team. Yeah, exactly. But they're a futsal team as well. That is part of that sports organisation. And you're right. There's lots of clubs across Europe. I've mentioned Benfica and Sporting Lisbon. I mean, we know them as football teams, the two largest football teams in Portugal. But if you go onto YouTube and watch the derby between Benfica and Sporting Lisbon at futsal, it is crazy. You're getting 25, 30,000 fans in an arena watching futsal in Portugal. It's a proper sport in its own right, and not just a vehicle and a tool to develop football players.
Yeah, I know that the Italian national futsal team, they have a really big following.
Yeah.
They have a big following when they play. So it just seems we're a bit slow on the uptake.
Yeah, it's. There's lots of things. I think there's a certain snobbery towards it, if I'm being honest, because there's a lack of understanding. I think people, and I still get really angry when someone says to me, "Oh, futsal, that's indoor football, isn't it?" It's so much more than indoor football.
It is indoor football. You can't say that it isn't. It's just not indoor football the way that you know it to be, but they don't know it to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I get that. And if that means that I can educate somebody, and that's the opportunity for me to educate someone about it, then that's a great opportunity.
Which is what I said about when I referees. Exactly that. You've got to try and educate. I need to put you on pause for a second.
Go for it.
Because the two viewers that we've got viewing in at the minute will be waiting for the guest of the year. And now, this time, I'm going to make sure that it's not as easy as you think. So, we're going to make sure that Tara was alive when this happened.
Thank you. That makes a change.
So, name the year, for your information, Matt, is I'm going to give a few clues to a particular year.
Yep.
Now, one or two of the clues are going to be, oh, you've really got me stumped. And this time, you will be. As opposed to, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, but I think it's him or her. So, we're going to start with a nice, easy one. So this is really just for Tara.
Uh-oh.
Women were allowed onto the floor of the stock exchange.
Oh. That's got to be late 80s, 90s, surely.
So that's the first clue. Now, if anyone's looking it up, they're cheating. So if anyone gets the answer from that,
No,
and
not
they
looking it up.
you no, but I know to get that you either have to be a woman who was bang there, or you won't get it. But you've got to start with the clue, because when it becomes another one, you think, well, wait a minute, hold on a minute. You know how it is. You start piecing it together.
Okay.
So because of the time, and we are slightly because of time, I'm going to give the second clue as well, which should cause a bit of fun. Concorde made its first transatlantic flight.
Ooh.
Oh. So it can't be the 90s then.
No.
So for anyone still watching, Tara's first guess is already out the water.
Well and truly. Well and truly. So it's got to be
I
in
want
the
to ask you
70s,
something,
isn't it?
Matt, about you mentioned earlier, obviously, that you support Varpool, and
Ollie.
right. Well,
Ollie.
the thing is, they are known as this because the amount of decisions they get. Yeah,
Well, if you tell me that, Steve.
even the most biased Liverpool fan, all I got was, well, when Harry Kane did a tackle 2 years ago, why didn't he get a red card? Because he caught the guy above the foot. And I said at the time when I saw the decision, I'm amazed he didn't get a red card.
Yep.
But the only thing I could think of why he didn't get a red card is he's not that kind of player. Yes, I accept that. But he's England captain, and I don't think the referees like to send the England captain off. And I think that was the only excuse I could come up with.
Yeah.
Then I got told in the same game that we had with you the other day, why didn't Skips get sent off when he caught Lucas Diaz? And I turned around and said, well, if you actually understand what the laws of football are, did he kick the ball first? The answer is yes. Does he purposely try and foul the player? No. Was it excessive force? No. It's just that when you've gone and you've clipped the ball and you come down, your foot will automatically come down. It caught him on the ankle. I don't think there's any malice in it, but it's a clear yellow card. But the fact the referee didn't give him a yellow card is abysmal. That's bad refereeing.
Most of that I agree with, Steve.
Problem is, but because the referee didn't give a yellow card, VAR cannot tell him to give a yellow card.
Yep.
They can say to him, you got it wrong, mate. You need to go and look at that. Now, if he'd have caught the top of the ball and then caught him from the knee down, coming down, I'd have had to say red card all day long, right? Because he catches the ball, and there's no doubt that he does catch the ball.
Yeah.
Is that he comes on it on sort of where the ankle bone is? It's just at the top of the boot at the ball.
Yeah.
Forrest just scored. Come on, Forrest. Yeah. Well, listen, Southampton are dreadful, yeah, and I think Spurs need one of their players next season, but that's another story.
Which one?
Ward-Prowse. What do you mean, which one? That's the only one they got.
Well, who's the other? They've got a young midfielder that they signed from Man City last year, who I think's been pretty decent this year. I've forgotten his name. Is he like a defensive centre midfielder? I've forgotten his name.
I'll have to tell you if I go through the Southampton team. Hold on a minute. I'm now going. Well, I will go through because this helps prove it's live. You see.
Yeah.
So we're getting up because obviously this is a strange result with Everton winning tonight. I mean, that I just looked at the league table. It's just been updated, yeah. And Leeds, as it stands right now, Southampton are on 24 with 3 games left, but they're minus 33. And if they lose this game, not only have they got to win the last 3 games that they've got, never going to happen.
Yeah.
They would only get 33, and they're minus 33 on goals, which is the worst. Forest is minus 31. So I've got to say, and I did say it to my friends beforehand, Forest will win tonight, and they'll get at least 1 more point. And if they get 34, Southampton can't get it, and I can't see how Leeds are going to get 34 with their fixtures left. I don't think so. Have you seen the fixtures that's left?
Yeah.
Leeds' last 3 games, obviously they're playing us last game, yeah? They got Newcastle on Saturday.
Yeah. Newcastle will win.
Well, to be fair, they were pretty rubbish yesterday. I have to say, everything that went for Newcastle against Spurs, they hit everything that went in the goal. They
Yeah.
couldn't hit a barn door yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, even the first goal Arsenal scored, he shoots, it goes round one guy's legs, and as the other guy's running, he actually ran. The ball went through his legs as he was running. I mean, that's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was spooky. Leeds have got to play Newcastle at home, and then they're away at West Ham, who may lose because they're playing in the semi-finals of the European.
Yeah.
So, West Ham may lose that game, and Leeds could win a game. I can't see them getting more than a point max against Newcastle, which is 4. They'd have to rely on probably beating Spurs last game, and Spurs may need to win to finish 6th.
Yeah.
Rather than in the conference. So, you know, that could be a bit of a crunch game. And Leeds haven't got a good defence. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. Their defence is hopeless.
Yeah.
So,
An interesting last few games.
yeah, I've changed my mind. I mean, I said to you when you asked me in January who's top 4, and I did say that I thought Arsenal should win it, but I was also said I do hope they blow up. Forest had just scored again.
Oh my word.
2-0. So that's looking good for tonight because Southampton don't score very often. How they ever drew at Arsenal and drew with us, I've no idea. So I think that's them out of it, Southampton. They're probably going to go out with a whimper tonight. You're asking me about the Southampton team, by the way, yeah?
Yeah, I was looking him up. Romeo Lavea.
Yeah, Nevea, that's it. Nevea, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just for, someone was telling me that that Liverpool, I think, were linked with him, but don't know too much about him. I just know that he's had a year at Southampton after leaving City.
Yeah, but look, Man City don't tend to get rid of good players. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I've had a chat with a couple of Arsenal fans about this in recent weeks when they seem to have change their tune on Zinchenko and Jesus. I think
I think Arsenal did very well with those buys, and as much as it pains me to say, I mean they have been very good this season, Arsenal.
Yeah, agreed.
And they've run a very good race. I do think Man City will still win it. Obviously, you know, they're in front. They got a game in hand. But Arsenal got 3 games left this season. Man City has still got 8, I think. And there's no respite. The only thing is Arsenal winning that game yesterday, and I'm sure that if Pep's totally honest, he would have hoped that Newcastle wouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
You know, Man City's got to play away at Real Madrid on Tuesday. They've then got to play on the weekend where they have to put a full side out. They can't run the risk of not having a full side out in the league, and they've got to hope that they go to Madrid on Tuesday and get a good result. So if they can win maybe 1 or 2-0, you would think that Real Madrid aren't coming back from that, because I don't think Real Madrid are that good. They're great in the Champions League, but they're absolutely cack. In Spain, I promise you, they aren't that good.
I agree totally with you, but sadly, I went through that experience last season, thinking when we were getting Real Madrid in the final that they're not that good in the Liga, but they turn into a different beast.
They do turn it on for the Champions League. I think you're right. I do agree with you. I was struggling to think back who was the last English team to beat Real Madrid. Tottenham.
Don't win Champions Leagues though for beating teams.
No, we don't win Champions League because we get robbed of it after 1 minute. Another Liverpool. Yeah, but that was another Liverpool decision. How many more do you want? It's all the time. We usually get it with Chelsea as well. You know, they score a goal that never crosses the line. Twice. Not once. Twice in 3 years. Never went over the goal line. The referee gave them both, yeah? One of them, Martin Atkinson, I spoke to him about it afterwards. And it's a true question. I said to him, Martin, he said, come on then. I know what you're asking. I said, first of all, what the hell made you give the goal in the first place? He said, I don't know. I just got carried away with the moment. I thought it was in. It clearly wasn't. I got an earache. I can't repeat what was said in his ear, but there was a few effing and blinding going on in his ear from the fourth official who had seen it on the TV. But in the minute that happened after Chelsea's second goal in that game at Wembley, Spurs were clean through, and we got a penalty, or would have had a penalty, because Cech came out and flattened Adebayor when Bale scored, or flattened Bale when Adebayor scored. And he could have given a penalty before the ball got to Adebayor, but thankfully he played on. And I said to him, how was that? You've gone from being a complete numpty, and a minute later you've played a brilliant advantage, and there's a goal scored from it, but your head must have been completely all over the place. And he said, look, I made a pig's ear of it. I can't change my decision. I knew I'd got it wrong. I knew almost immediately I'd got it wrong. 45,000 people told me I got it wrong. The fourth official was screaming in my ear certain things I can't repeat. But I've got to live by it. And that was it. And the rest of the game I carried on. Thankfully, it didn't change the result. And I said, well, yeah, but we were 2-0 down. It might have only been 1-0. We might have equalised. You know, you've got to look at it like that. And he said, well, I made a ricket. And, you know, without VAR, because VAR wasn't in those days, of course, situation's very different. So, in my opinion, when they make a ricket and carry on carry on with the game, it's very difficult. Psychologically, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult. But they all make mistakes. Howard Webb gave a penalty, Everton, Sunderland. You might remember at Sunderland. The Everton player, not only did he kick his own foot and fall over, he wasn't even in the box. It was a shocking decision. So, you know, they all get a mistake. That's what football is. And
While we're talking about football, I've got to say, across the channel, massive congratulations to Napoli winning Serie A after 33 years.
Every week I've got to listen to it. Bloody last night. They missed a penalty. Osimhen, yeah. He scored.
Yes, they missed the penalty, but they won Serie A. Did you see the scenes in Naples? Oh, my husband was.
I did. 33 years. But nobody seemed to pick this up, and it did surprise me. It's a little bit strange that Argentina won the World Cup and everyone was thinking about Maradona. Napoli have won the Scudetto, and obviously that's Maradona's team, and it's immediately after his death. I mean, I kind of find that a little bit spooky, don't you?
Maradona is a god in Naples. He's an absolute god.
Yeah, but if you think that he died about a year before the World Cup, Argentina won it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still got his hand in God.
The first full season after his death, Napoli have won the Scudetto. Yeah, that's a little bit, you know,
spooky.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, next clue while we're here.
Yep.
So now this I'm gonna because I don't think you're gonna get it anywhere yet. So we'll give you two clues. Sir Richard Sharples and Captain Hugh Sayers were shot dead in Bermuda by a faction of the Black Power movement. Now this is quite well known. This was quite well known news. Yeah, this is world news. It's not something people go, well, you might not remember the names, but I remember it at the time. I'm going to give you one that will sort of get you going. United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland, along with Denmark, entered what was called the EEC, but now the EU. Has that helped you with the year yet?
Is that in the 60s then?
God, we've had the 90s, we've had the 80s, we've got the 60s. We'll have the 70s, then we'll have the 50s.
I'm sure the UK joined the EU in the 60s, didn't they? Sometime in the 60s.
I think it's earlier than that. Before my time, I know that.
Yeah, this is where I'm confused because Steve said I was born by then and I wasn't.
Well, I know how old you are.
Yeah, well, I wasn't.
We all know you're 81, so don't worry.
Funny.
So you've had 4 clues so far. 4 clues. The next 2 clues that come along, they'll obviously put you think, oh, wait a minute, I've got the right now, I'm getting very close. And then the last 2 clues, if you haven't got it from there, then really and truthfully, you're beyond help. But,
Right, can I have a guess then?
You know.
Can
I will
have a
give
guess?
you a funny clue, though, to help you with this, just so you know. So in this particular year, this is gospel truth. Don't start laughing until I finished. Right? So in this particular year, 93% of the English of the UK had a TV, 78% had a fridge, 67% had a washing machine, and 43% had a phone.
What?
Matt's just fallen off his perch.
You know what? You're talking about all those electrical devices. I was talking to someone the other day. People don't remember. You used to rent everything. I remember growing up where I was born in London. Everything was rented, and I remember radio rentals and rumbelows.
Yeah.
And everything we rented. So
I'm going to have a guess. I'm going to say 74.
Rumbelows. No, not right. Rumbelows sponsored the League Cup. You'll notice with Tara, she was laughing now. And we're always laughing, I've got to tell you. But it does make me laugh because she puts on these sounds and I can't control the sounds at this end. But on my phone, I've got a lot other.
I must
got some very funny.
I was being applauded for getting the question right.
It's not 74. Okay.
No.
All right. I'll go.
It's still 2-0 to Forest at the moment.
Yep.
Which is good news. I do hope that they get out of it. I really do. They got to play Arsenal, Forest. Not next week, the week after. Next week, Forest are away at Chelsea, which, had they not had a good result at Bournemouth, I think they might have got a point there, Nottingham Forest. And they'll need it, because they'll
Matt,
be tonight.
Going on to next season
it.
for futsal and your team, what have you got any plans? What are you aiming for next season?
So you talk about next season. We continuously go 12 months a year. So we will keep going, providing futsal training and matches for the kids and for adults. The plan is that we will establish ourselves as a club, meaning that we will offer more futsal to more children across Milton Keynes and surrounding areas. I say surrounding areas because we actually get kids coming from as far away as Bicester to come and train with us, just because of the lack of futsal offerings around kind of the Bucks area. So more kids. We need to get more facilities. It's a real challenge. School halls or school sports halls are ideal for us, but trying to get access to those are really challenging.
I imagine they charge a fair bit, don't they?
I love Radcliffe School, which is where we are on a Thursday, but it is a very expensive hire. It's a brand new sports hall, so we benefit from that, but it's expensive.
Have you tried Bletchley Leisure Centre?
I have got a long list of about 30 various halls across the local area, and most of them are booked up with a variety of other sports. You talked about basketball. I know basketball takes up some of the facilities I've tried to get access to. It's just tough. So looking for a facility. If anybody knows of anyone that can have a kind word with someone to get us access to some additional facilities, that would be great. We also need more futsal coaches.
Well, you could maybe suggest, Matt, maybe you suggest that you put your email up, because someone who's listening to this, as Tara will tell you, we don't necessarily get people listening in straight away today, partially because it's a bank holiday and it's a family day for a lot of people as well. Obviously, we had King Charles's, nearly called it coronation. So yeah, that's right. And you may find that people might listen to this on another evening when they're
Yeah.
better time and may know something in the area to
Awesome.
help you.
Yeah. The best place
They
to
can
find,
email or
yeah.
message.
The best place probably to find me is on Twitter. I know not everybody has access to Twitter, but if you look up A Star Futsal on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what's the other one? What's the video one? TikTok. You'll find me on all four of those of varying degrees of activity. But Tara, I think, follows me, I think, on Twitter, so she knows that I'm fairly active posting there. So that's probably the best place to find me.
And I think
Which is the exact opposite of me. I've done about 2 a year. 2 twits a year.
what I'd really love to do, Matt, is to support your club
Yeah.
in promoting, and help as much as you can. So if you've got events going on, and things like that, tag me in.
Yeah.
And
I think
I'll
we could
share
do
it
that on the show. We could broadcast that as well.
Absolutely, and we can mention it on the podcast and
Awesome.
stuff, things like
Yeah.
that. Because I'm like you, I'm a big one for futsal, and I
Yeah.
think it needs to
Well,
get out there a lot more in
Yeah.
the public domain. And I think you're absolutely right. There is not enough media coverage, whether it be social media, TV,
Yeah.
anything like. Who knew that England has a national futsal team? Now we know because we follow it,
Yeah.
but who knew that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Well, like Joe Bloggs wouldn't.
yeah.
No, exactly.
And just, I mean,
Mhm.
even silly little things like the Champions League. I mean, I share that with all of my parents that bring their kids to. I'm continuously giving them links to BT Sport, making sure they watch it on a Saturday to watch the women play.
Southampton just scored.
Oh,
Oh, they scored a few minutes ago. Sorry. 2-1.
oh,
Just to let you know.
there's been some good games today.
And while we stop for a second, 2 more clues
Oh,
because
okay.
we're running out of time. Yeah.
Gone.
Right. Okay. The best-selling cigarette was Players number 6. Also known to anybody that smoked as Grot. OPEC increased its prices by 200% as they restricted the flow of oil to all the countries that supported Israel.
So that's early 70s. What did Tara say?
I said 74, I think.
It's around then. If it's not 74, then it's somewhere around there. I think Tara's close.
Rose?
Close.
Oh, close.
No, I said it's not 19. I said it's not 1974.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 73 it's got to be.
I thought Matt said it was early 70s.
Go on then, Matt. You have your guess.
I've 1970.
So you're 74, not age.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're 1974. You're not.
I'm 73. Matt's 70.
No, you were 74. He's 70. You said
Yeah, no,
74.
that was a
You
wrong
changed
guess.
your mind
I'll get
again.
another
Yeah.
guess.
By the way, Matt, this is what she does. She changes her mind every 5 minutes. Yeah.
Woman's prerogative, that apparently my wife tells me.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah. It's
73.
like parking, isn't it? Oh. Dear. Huh?
73.
So we're now in 70. Is that your final offer?
Final offer.
Because you change it in a minute. Are you sticking to 1973?
I'm sticking to 73.
So I have to give you the other clues, and then you have to then decide if you're definitely right. So Secretariat won the Triple Crown. That was the first time it happened since 1948.
Right.
Doesn't help.
So not everyone even knows what the Triple Crown is. Do you know what the Triple Crown is?
No.
I do.
You've got the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. Is it
Do you know the other races?
Is it the French one? I forgot what it's called.
No, they're an American. They're American races.
Okay, they're only the 3 American ones then. Okay, I don't know then.
You've got the Breeders' Cup Mile, I think it is, and you've got the Preakness,
Okay.
which is the one everyone forgets. But anyway, that's Secretariat. That was one of the other clues. The best-selling single for that year was "Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree" by Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Oh.
Doesn't help either.
Now,
No.
Tara's thinking, wait a minute, that wasn't 1970, that was 1971.
It wasn't 73, but
So
I'll have
final
to
answers are?
73.
Sorry, you were 72 as well now.
No, 73.
Oh, you
73.
You're 73. Matt?
I'm saying 1970, but I've really got no idea.
Okay, here's the last clue because it's a bit of a giveaway. Spurs won the League Cup final.
What's a giveaway?
Beating Norwich
Spurs?
1-0. Giveaway if you know anything about football.
I haven't got a clue when Spurs won the League Cup.
If you had said the FA Cup, it would have helped. The League Cup.
We didn't win the FA Cup that year.
No, I know.
We played in the UEFA Cup. We played in the UEFA Cup final the year before and won it. And we played in the UEFA Cup final the year after and lost it.
So hold on. Oh no, that's not. Yeah, the only the only UEFA Cup win that I remember Spurs was the Tony Parks one, and that was
That's
10 years
84.
ago. That's I was about to say that's only 80.
That's my shirt in the background.
Okay.
So that's the 84 shirt is in the background. So
So I'll stick with
Which is,
73. It's not right, but I've got to stick with it now.
no, 1973 was correct.
Was it?
Oh shit, 2-2. Pardon my French.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Southampton had just equalised.
Oh. Was it 1973?
Yes, darling, it was 1973.
Finally! Have Southampton equalised?
I don't know. I'm just waiting. It's gone all. Hold on a minute. VAR's involved. Who knows?
Oh.
Let's have a look.
What are they checking for? An offside or a?
Don't know. I can't tell. I haven't got the TV on my iPad.
Oh, it's a penalty to Forest. Hold on. I'm
I
only
don't know.
looking.
It's gone.
I'm looking at the BBC.
I don't know. It's 2-1, but I can't tell what's happened because I've only got pitch view and it doesn't tell me. It's just updating. Shot on goal, Lavia. And then it's suspended. So I think Southampton. I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. They just scored again. It's 3-1 to Forest.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I knew something had happened.
Matt said
3-1
penalty
to
to
Forest.
Forest.
Yeah. Well, it's a
I'm
penalty
just
for
looking at
Forest.
the
3-1
BBC
now.
Sport website. and
Morgan
it
Gibbs
came
White
up.
scored.
So was it a penalty
Yeah,
to
I'm
Forest?
using Betfair when it freezes, yeah? 3-1 to Southampton.
Forest.
I mean, 3-1 to Forest. Come on, Forest!
So was it a penalty, Matt? Did Forest have a penalty?
Yeah.
It looks like it, yeah.
Oh.
No, it was. It was. 3-1.
Wow.
Yes, you got your answer right, Tara.
Yay.
Well done.
So, well done.
Thank you very
For those
much.
watching in black and white, that always makes me laugh. We see the snooker final was on last weekend. I told you Luca Bristol might win it, and Ronnie was going to get bombed out, and that's what happened.
You were right.
I did tell you that. I told you it 2 weeks ago. I said there's going to be a surprise upset this year. I said to you I backed Luca Purcell. And to be fair, when he was 14-5 down in the semi-final, I put £2 on at 600s on Betfair. I had to lay him off all over the place, but I made a few quid.
Oh, well done. You
Got to earn a living.
congratulations.
Tara don't pay me. Thank you. Don't get around the applause, have you noticed?
I pay you in my company. There you
So,
go.
Matt, having had an hour and 3/4 with us two giggling too much, as usual,
It's been fantastic.
if you had the opportunity, if you had the opportunity right now to speak sort of publicly, but asking the FA, the Futsal FA, whatever, and you had a question that you were dying to ask them, what would that question be?
Oh, that's a very good question.
That is a good question.
That's my job. Ask you a cracking question.
We've only waited an hour and 45 minutes for the first one, Steve. It's not bad.
No, but we've been trying to listen to what your things were. So
right.
yeah, go on. What would be your thing that you'd want to ask the FA?
What is
Well,
the
there's
plan?
obviously more than one.
What is the plan to get more young children playing futsal in England?
Is there a plan?
Yeah, that might be more of a. Is there a plan?
I believe.
Have you thought about going to Wembley?
Sorry, say again, Steve.
Have you thought about going to Wembley?
For
That's where the FA are.
well, to be fair, I think so. Knowing what I know, at the start of this year, the FA created England Futsal as a new governing body. There are new people in charge of leading futsal. I think it's fair that those people have a chance to deliver on what they have told the futsal community is happening.
Yeah.
So I think there's some good things happening. I think the next 6 months will be really critical for futsal because there's a lot of people that have been around futsal for a lot longer than me that are still quite cynical about what that might actually look like. But I think the next 6 months will tell a lot around how serious England, the FA and England Futsal are serious about taking England Futsal forward. Because as Tara's pointed out, it's an amazing sport and it's great for kids. The amount of football that kids lose over winter because it's too cold, too wet, conditions are bad.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's an ideal alternative to.
It's inclusion, Matt. This is the thing. This is inclusion. This is the thing that's very important.
Yep.
You know, I know I sit here and have a giggle with Tara a lot because life is too serious, and we've all, you know, away from this sort of platform and a bit of fun that we have, a lot of people are still struggling to make ends meet. People are finding that the food bills are still too high, even though I've heard they're supposed to drop.
Yep.
Fuel prices at last are starting to stop on the gas pumps. They're down at around about 145, 150 for fuel for diesel. You know, it makes it a little bit cheaper here. I think things are slowly coming back the right way. I believe the gas and electric prices are supposed to drop. But that's for everybody outside of this platform, and aiming at what you're saying. Futsal, to me, when I've refereed it, has been all about inclusion.
Yeah.
It's about taking a child who may not have the ability to play proper football on a proper pitch, but maybe his parents feel it's important for him to associate himself and mix with other kids in similar situations, certainly with the disabled ones that I've had to deal with. You've got to allow everybody to be involved. Black, white, makes no difference.
Yep.
They're all affected with a various disability. Head, ears, serious problems. Getting them playing football keeps them active. It gives them a reason for enjoying something. It gives them a purpose. No matter how struggling somebody is, a child is always growing and learning at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
The opportunity to come and play an under 7s that you want to create, or the under 9s.
Yeah.
or even if you set up a group for the less able, rather than calling them disabled, because I'm sure someone who's blooming PC will come on here and go, "You always get everything wrong, Steve," but I'm not PC. I just say it as it is.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be included. And
Well,
your
I
thing
don't
that you're saying,
understand. Why do they not have futsal in schools? The facility is there.
Oh,
They've got
it's not
they've got
always there, Tara. Some of the places are too small to have them, and it's the
well,
teachers that don't want to provide it.
Well, I'd say 98% of schools have an indoor gym, a gymnasium.
Yes, but how big is the gym?
so I think Tara's actually brought up a really valid and interesting point, because you're right, Steve. Not all the halls are big enough, but there's nothing to say that futsal has to be at that level. Five-a-side, futsal goals. A lot of what the
Yeah.
early stages of futsal was for my son was these mini little pop-up goals in a little community centre in
Yeah,
in Broughton, where
yeah.
so there are, if you're creative, you've got the desire and the willingness to make it work, you make it work. And I think schools are an entry
I'm
point.
not disagreeing with you.
No,
I'm not disagreeing. I'm making a point that Tara's going on with, that she's saying, well, the schools can do it because they've got a hall. I agree, but I would also go so far as to say, whilst you're saying what a great idea it is, and we've highlighted futsal, a lot of those places with these sort of super gymnasiums that they've got the basketball things put in, but they hardly ever use it, and they actually rent it out to someone who comes and plays basketball in the evening after school.
yep.
A lot of the schools aren't using their basketball, they're not using the netball, they're not using a lot of the things. So they'll say, well, why do we want to put futsal in it? It's another thing that we're not really doing. And it's always, well, we can't afford it, or it's not in the budget,
Well, Steve, I
And
think
this is why I ask you about the FA.
I think it's. I mean, it's a topic that probably needs a couple of hours on in isolation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's a political one, which is ultimately, how serious are we about sport and PE in this country? I know from my experience, and I've got friends that are PE teachers that have been clinging on to their jobs as PE teachers for the last 5 years. I know my son and daughter's experience at schools. PE isn't as important it was when I was at school. 25 years ago, when I was in West London, PE was a valid and important subject in the curriculum.
And compulsory.
It just
was compulsory, yeah.
I'm
not disagreeing with you. I think, Matt, what we've got to try and do, and I think Tara should make a little note in her diary, if you're happy, because obviously as time's pressing, we do need to sort of get to the end and wrap it up. But I think specifically with what you said about, well, I'd like to know where we are in 6 months with futsal.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the beginning of May at the moment, and we do a show every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We try to do a show every 2 weeks. If something's not in the way, we do sort of stick to it. I think it might be great if you could maybe come back on again as a guest,
I'd love to.
and maybe come on at, say, round about the end of October, for example. Sometime then, when we can look at our schedule and go, look, would you like to come on this week or next fortnight or the fortnight after? And you go, yeah. And we'd like to find out about maybe what's changed in the futsal situation from now to maybe the end of October. Have there been changes? Have you got more kids?
Yep.
Are you producing more? Are you getting more people involved? Because
Are you getting the facilities?
Yep.
yeah, our little platform, which might get 15, 20, 30 people watching this week, we've got a guest in 2 weeks' time, somebody I've known from a few years back when I played football with him and against him, who's coming on, whose life in football is not at the top level like his brother was, but it's quite decent. He's now a manager, and we're going to go on a different conversation there, and he's going to have things that might be now one thing, and where is it in 6 months? So I think it would be great if you want to come back. I think the people that might send messages to Tara that they do on thing would find it interesting. I would love to know where it comes up, Matt. I really would.
Because you're saying that the next 6 months are very important. So I think an update on whether you feel that those 6 months have been met would be really interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And I wouldn't mind coming up to see this one evening. I know you said it's on a Thursday, yeah?
Yeah, well, so we do the training on Thursday, but we have matches sporadically over weekends as well. So when there's local,
Yeah, so when you're doing your training, I mean, you had 60 people. This is the Thursday evening, is it?
yeah, correct.
Well, Tara will take me out for dinner if I come up to Milton Keynes because I haven't got my passport at the moment.
Haven't had your jab.
Well, I mean, I'd definitely love to come and see a match.
Yeah.
And maybe Steve could
you've got
ref
each
it.
other's details, so you know.
Yeah.
Pardon?
And maybe Steve could ref
You've
the
got-
match.
Well, yeah, I am allowed to.
That's not a bad idea.
Well,
is it?
actually, I'm not allowed to technically because I have to do the safeguarding for children because I have safeguarding for adults because
Oh,
I'm on an
okay.
adult one. But
Okay, fair enough.
I technically would have to be doing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, if it's a one-off, I don't think anybody's going to mind. But because you would know me, but
Yeah.
technically, you do have to, because we have to be very careful with looking after the children. But
Good
yeah,
point.
I wouldn't mind that, and Tara can pass my information on and vice versa. There's no problem there. So
Awesome.
you know,
I
I'd
appreciate
like
last
to
5 minutes,
just
last
finish for
5
me.
minutes of the show. Steve, what are your plans this week?
If I'm lucky and the weather's not too bad, we are having. I've got a lot of work on. Friday morning, I should finish work about 12, so I'm very hopeful of getting down on the golf course. My heel's recovered, 5 weeks out from injury. I was supposed to referee today, but it got called off because the pitch was a bit rough. So hopefully golf on Friday afternoon, and working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off.
And Matt, your plans?
That's it.
My plans. What are my plans? Where are we today? Monday, Wednesday, coaching my son's grassroots team. So I coach Woburn and Wavenham Football Club. Thursday, futsal. Friday, rest. Saturday, kids football. Both my son and daughter play. Sunday, I play vets football. Sunday morning for Open University vets team. I think that's about it. And I've got a day job as well.
Divorced.
Yeah,
Monday's divorced.
yeah. Clinging on to my marriage if I don't behave myself.
So the sport this week, we've got a busy week. We've got commentary of the Newport Pagnell against Northampton 11 game tomorrow night at Wilham Road. And then Saturday is finals day. So the North Bucks and District League finals, Reserve Cup commentary between Haslope Reserve and Great Horwood Reserves. And the second final is going to be Hale Lees FC versus Stony Stratford, and they're all being played at Buckingham Athletic Ground.
Yeah, and is it the week after you're at Wembley for the Newport Pagnell?
21st, yep, off to Wembley to Newport Pagnell. Yay!
Yeah, I've been offered tickets. FA tickets,
going?
obviously, but
Are
No.
you going, Matt?
I'm not. I've actually got a futsal tournament. I think that day for one of my kids' teams. But but my boss at A Star is the women's manager at Newport Pagnell. So Ryan.
Oh, Ryan, he was meant to come on my show and he didn't.
He did say that to me. He did say that he owed a visit to Tara and to apologise.
Yes, he does, especially
So,
since he's had such a great season. So yes,
Yeah.
he does owe me a visit.
I will give him a kick and tell him to get back in contact with you.
Thank you. No, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, they've had a brilliant season, the Newport
They do.
women's
have.
team. So
Yeah.
they really have done well. So we're rounding up. Matt, it's been brilliant having you on.
Yeah.
And talking about futsal. Really looking forward to having you on towards the end of the year again. Do keep us posted on social media. Tag me in
Will
if
do.
you've got a tournament going on, or a
Yeah,
match.
we'll advertise it on the
come
show.
Down. Yeah, let us know. We'll advertise it on the show. We'll come down. Maybe do some interviews.
That'd be
and that
awesome.
kind of thing. So yeah, that would be really good. And maybe if I get my sort of laws of the game on point, I might be able to do a commentary.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
That would be really good. That'd be
And
really
very
fun.
funny. Because I'll
Yeah.
give her a bag of sweets at the same time and laugh at you.
But if it's anything like the basketball, then I'll be I'll be very passionate about it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having me anyway.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
No, great to have you on. Really good to have you
Yeah,
on. Really mean
really
it.
has-
Yeah,
it's
very
been
very
great.
enlightening. Well done. Thank you.
And thank you everybody who's listened in. And if you're listening in to the recording, don't forget contact Matt on social media at A Star Football.
And this will be repeated
all.
on Dave at 2:00 on Wednesday.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. See you next fortnight. Very good. Nice having him on.
It was good, wasn't it? It was very informative.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when we get Lee next fortnight, because he's got promoted with Leighton Town, he's just taken the job at Bedford Town.
I was going to say, I saw that on socials. He's gone to Bedford.
Yeah, it's a step
Interesting.
up.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't blame him, to be fair.
So he was with Mark today. His brother Mark used to play for QPR. So yeah,